this week we had some news of aggrieved shareholders getting a court order to halt the sale of Bank PHB and triggering some concern around the M&A process moving forward. Governor Sunusi has since said that there was no order to halt the sale of Bank PHB and that the process is on course. Sentiment around the banking sector right now, given all the turbulence the M&A activity is facing?
Okay, thanks, Alishia. I think the news about the aggrieved shareholders trying to get an injunction to restrain the sale of Bank PHB was not viewed positively by the market. However, the assurance given by the central bank governor that they haven't received any court order also assisted people to actually have to still be hopeful that a deal will be on the cards soon. It's been expected that the deal between Bank PHB and AfriBank will actually have been the easiest of the M&As, given the relationship that existed between Bank PHB and AfriBank before now.
Well, in South Africa, we're hearing at the same time lots of speculation around FirstBank being in advanced talks with Nigeria's Sterling Bank over making a strategic investment in the lender. Any word on the ground on your end?
There hasn't been any formal confirmation from Sterling Bank here in Nigeria. However, I mean, the investment public actually viewed it positively. Sterling Bank hadn't really been a very big player in Nigeria before now, and the supposed entrance of FirstBank into Sterling Bank was viewed positively. We actually expect that to go through because it will enhance the competition in that sector.
Sterling Bank, not one of the bailed out banks, though. It has a market valuation of around 33.7 billion naira as at March the 10th. What would you make of a deal like this if it had to transpire?
I reckon that if it transpires, it's going to be good for Sterling Bank. Sterling Bank, even though it was not one of the rescued banks, was actually a marginal player with 95 branches, about 95 branches in Nigeria. So it will give FirstBank presence in a number of places in Nigeria at the onset. But we expect that it's going to take a while before FirstBank can actually ramp up the value of their investment in Sterling Bank if it does happen. Sterling Bank is known as a small player in the market, but we expect that if this deal goes through, it will be positive for them and also rub off on other banks.
Well, as you've said, for now, FirstBank and Sterling Bank both declining to comment, so we'll keep our ears tuned towards developments on that front. In the meantime, FinBank, which had dismissed a bid by a local player, First City Monument Bank, is now said to be in talks with the private equity firm Vine Capital, which has already signed a capital recapitalization agreement with AfriBank. What are you making of this possibility possibly coming to the fore, and of a merged entity, that of FinBank with AfriBank?
If FinBank succeeds in being merged with AfriBank by Vine Capital, we think it's just a natural progression because there has been expectation that the banking sector will actually shrink a bit more. We're going to see some mergers. So we expect that if Vine Bank is able to conclude a deal with AfriBank, which looks very likely now given what we've been hearing in the press, and also being able to merge them with FinBank, it should be positive to FinBank and also to AfriBank. FinBank before now, even though it was an amalgam of a few banks, was not able to actually stamp its authority in the banking industry. It's still a marginal player, so we expect that being merged with AfriBank by Vine Capital should actually add fillip to whatever successes, I mean, their strategies might have been in the banking sector.
Akeem, obviously it's, activity and commentary like this that's contributed to the temperament of the local bourse, where activity has been pretty volatile. And looking at banking sector aside, there are other factors to consider here. We've got the possibility of elections being rescheduled. We've got the fact that financials haven't been forthcoming out of the banking sector specifically. How are you reading and how are you seeing these other factors contributing to the kind of market activity we're seeing right now?
Like you mentioned at the beginning, I mean, the bourse yesterday actually wiped off all the gains that made earlier this year, and we are right now back in negative territory, about negative 1.75 all-share index year to date. We know this is as a result of the uncertainties relating to the elections. I mean, like you also mentioned, we are expecting that there may be a rescheduling of the election dates soon. Having said that, The other negative issue is the era of the impact of imported inflation, especially from the high crude oil prices, and the impact is going to have on FMCGs that are still relying on diesel AGOs to fire their production plants, their generating plants. If the price of crude oil comes down a bit and the manufacturers are able to get cheaper sources of fuel, we think that will impact positively on the FMCGs. So, but right now, without the results being released by the banks, there will still be some negative performances of the bonds, at least now, today especially.
How are you playing the market in this context? Are you using some of the dips we are seeing as a buying opportunity?
For investors that have long-term views, of course, this presents a buying opportunities. But for those that still think that the market will still fall a bit more, I mean, they would rather stay by the sidelines and watch.